Hi, welcome to my shoot, and it's a video shoot with the Letus Mini35 and my JVC GYHM 100 3CCD video camera from about 10 years ago that shoots in 1080p, and I'm using right here. I'm using a 35mm Olympus OM lens. So here's the footage of University of British Columbia. It's surrounded on one side by the ocean. I would say it's surrounded on two sides by the ocean, pretty much, and forest. So three sides by the ocean and forest. So it's on sort of like a land peninsula, I guess. Mini peninsula. And UBC is out for the summer. I guess there's no students there for the summer, and because of the COVID is what I call it, the situation, the health situation, there's not that many people there, so it's a good time to shoot video. So I was taking full advantage of the fact that there was nobody there. So I walked around and I interviewed kind of like, I believe he's a homeless young man, around 35. So that was the first part of my video. And then this is my second part where I did a walk around of UBC. And I didn't walk around the whole place because it's quite huge. And it would take a couple days probably to shoot everything. But UBC has these long walkways between the buildings of the university, and it's usually jammed with students during the school year. So there's a clock tower, and I think the clock tower is in front of one of the oldest buildings there at UBC. So it's going to come up in some of the other videos. So it's a nice June day. There is a few people out taking advantage. I think it was in the morning, and I think it was, I can't remember what day of the week it was when I shot this. Oh, I think it was Friday morning, maybe. Friday morning. And yeah, there's an old building of UBC. I'm using 35mm lens, but because I'm using the Olympus OM and the Letus, it's cropped, it's slightly cropped shot, so it's probably a little bit smaller than 34mm. So that's not why it's not super wide angle. So there's a shot of the old building. It's landscaped quite a bit, like there's a lot of landscaping going on and gardens and things. There's the base of the clock tower. You can see that's landscaped. Across there is sort of a display case that you can see in the distance. I don't know I never went to University of British Columbia, so I don't know like all the buildings, and they're all the different types of buildings. Like there's the economics building and the math building, blah blah blah, etc., psychology building. So there's another old building. So I think I'm right in the heart of the old part of UBC. There's a restaurant, but it's closed because of the summer and because of the epidemic. You can see that's part of the big, sort of tree-lined walkway, which is really kind of beautiful. That goes right, crisscrosses UBC. So yeah, there's new buildings and old buildings. So here's kind of a funny shot because I used a 1000 ND filter, and it's shot super slow motion frame rate, something like 3.5 frame rate, something super slow, just so that you could see it. And all of this video is not retouched. It's not touched up in any way. There's a nice shot of the old building, and that's shot with a 1000 ND filter. just for people who know what that is. So yeah, I got this 1000 ND filter, and it's pretty cool. This works really good on super sunny days. The reason I'm having a hard time too is that if you have 1000 ND filter, it's better to have a full tripod, and I'm just using a monopod. So yeah, I think it turned out really good with that 1000 ND filter. 1000, it's really cool if you do video and photography, and you buy something like an 1000 ND filter. You can use it both for photography and for video. So you can unscrew it from your video camera, and you can screw it onto your photography camera, and it's pretty handy to have. And I decided to go with the not the variable ND filter, but the sort of, I guess, static ND filter. So that's what I decided to go with. So here's the end of the shot for the 1000 ND filter, and then we're back to regular shooting. And I was using like the built-in ND filter for most of all of the rest of the shots. So here we are back with the regular ND filter. And these Olympus OM vintage lenses are great for close-ups. They're really phenomenal close-up shooting lenses. I love the colors. I love the look of these old lenses. So yeah, there's another view of the garden area. And there's a close-up of the plants. Nice focusing shot. Depth of field focus shot. Nice sunny day. Sun came out. Started off cloudy. And then the sun was kind of in and out. So there's the tower again. It's like a clock tower. Oh, you can see what time it is. It's 12:25. So again, University of British Columbia. Students are out for the summer holidays, so it's a great time. And with the pandemic or whatever, it's a great time to go and shoot video because there's nobody around. And I was talking, a young man, and 35 years old, I think he was homeless. He allowed me to interview him. So I interviewed him before I shot all this. There's a really good shot of that older building. I think that's probably one of the original buildings of UBC. I don't know what year it's from or anything like that. So here I am playing with my aperture. So I stopped the aperture down, and you can see it's really got a bluish tone. I don't know why that's got such that bluish tone. I think it's the ND filter, the built-in ND filter, that's doing that. So the greens look nice though. And so yeah, it's pretty deserted. I think it was a Friday, just after 12:30. There's my camera bag on the bench. There's the old weathered benches. There's some greenery up close. Yeah, I love the look of the Letus and the Olympus, and the JVC 3CCD looks really good to me. So there's the ground close up. Some ferns. There's a bench in front of that old building. I think that's called the Westbrook building. There's something called the Westbrook Mall. I think one of the walkways is called the Westbrook Mall, if you look at it on a map. So it's probably named after that guy, Frank Fairchild Westbrook. And there's the old building and the new buildings. Kind of looks like stone masonry.
This is the 50.
Oh, I'm using a 50 millimeter lens. Oh, I just changed to the 50 millimeter lens. So anyways, like this is like right around where that clock tower is. I just moved around a little bit. And there's a pool there. I guess it's a drain. It's a drained fountain, but there's no water in the fountain. You can see how bright it is from like the sun reflecting off the stone is blindingly almost. Blinding. There's a bike racks. There's the old building again. There's the crest of British Columbia, I think, right on the front of the building there. That sun kind of looks like the British Columbia flag a little bit. The province of British Columbia in Canada. Some benches. More paths. Paths everywhere.
Oh, that's a nice shot of the clock.
There's the base of the clock tower. So I actually was able to shoot right up the clock tower because I just adjusted my my ball head on my monopod so that I could view right up the clock tower. That's a nice foliage shot right there. So there I adjusted my monopod and now I can, or the ball head, so that I could look right up the tower. That's a nice shot right there.
That's a nice shot right there of the clock.
I like scenes like that, like just basic, nothing fancy. Just sort of, here I'm in a lot of shadow right now, so I think that I changed the adjustments of the camera so that I could see better. There we go, I opened everything up. See, everything's sprouting because it's almost summer now, so everything's green. It's really nice to be outside. Because I'm not working now, I'm going to try to go out shooting video once or twice a week now, for sure, for the rest of the summer, or for the rest of the time I'm not working. That's a lovely shot of the trees and the wind in the trees. It's really nice to watch what you filmed after you've shot it. Rather than, you can't really enjoy it when you're shooting it as much as when you're just sitting in a chair watching what you've shot. It's much more enjoyable. Or it's sort of, you get a different perspective. You can see the wind in the trees. It turned out pretty good. I mean, I think my shots get better every time. If you can see a couple of my other videos, I shot different parts of Vancouver. So there's one shot where I shot on East Vancouver, on a bridge in East Vancouver, and you can see the North Shore from the shoot. If you want to check that video out, that's a pretty cool video. And there's another video that I shot of Granville Island, looking at all the boats everywhere. And I think there's another one of Stanley Park. So this is like the fourth in the series, I guess. So I don't know where I'm going to shoot next. I was thinking of shooting Chinatown, maybe. That's a nice change of pace. I'm looking for good places where there's gardens too. There's lots of parts of UBC that I have not yet explored, so that might be worth it too. So there's just another view from that courtyard in front of the older building. I'm just shooting with a monopod and a ball head just to keep everything relatively stable. And it's easier to carry around, so I can carry everything: my camera, the ball head, my monopod, extra batteries, a couple different lenses, and I can just put it on my knapsack and I can just go all over wherever I want. So it's pretty handy. I'd like to go downtown Vancouver too and shoot downtown Vancouver. I'd even like to shoot downtown Vancouver at night as well. So there's lots of things that I want to try still. I've got a 51.4. That would probably be really good to shoot in the night time. So there's another shot of that old building from a different angle. It's kind of cool to have something in the foreground too. Kind of makes it sort of a more interesting shot to have like that. Even just that pole in the foreground just kind of makes it a more interesting shot, I think. You can see the gardeners are in the middle of weeding, I guess. There's those garbage bags with the weeds on top. So they're probably just having lunch, probably. There's a nice cloud shot. I'm a real fan of manual focusing. Now that I've gotten into these old lenses, I'm a real fan of manual focus and manual aperture. That's kind of dark, but the clouds look really good. Even though everything else is dark, the clouds look perfect. Here's another dark shot. So I'm not sure what I did to darken everything up. Could be the aperture. Sometimes when I shoot, I talk to the camera and I say exactly what I'm doing, but this time I didn't decided not to do that. Part of me wishes that I had a super wide angle lens for this, but I guess it's just the way it is. This looks really good with this. There you can see a bit of color in the trees. That's nice. You can see the purple. That's really nice too. There's a nice sort of focusing shot. Pathways. So yeah, this is just a small part of UBC. It's a really small part of UBC that I shot. But I think a lot of UBC is pretty ugly too. To be totally honest, there's a lot of UBC is just buildings, and it's not that, picturesque really. You can see people strolling around. This is a nice part of UBC. I think this is kind of like the center of UBC. Oh no, there's another part of the clock tower. So I guess at the end of the next one, the next clip is kind of the older part of UBC. So there's the clock tower from another angle. I mean, this is really old gear. This is a 10-year-old JVC 360 camera. Shoots on 1080p. And you can upscale it to 1920 by 1080. I don't know what it is natively. I think it's natively like 1440 maybe. I'm not sure. So it's like a million pixel sensor or whatever. There's a sign, places of refuge. So I'm just making my way around the pass. And I kind of went from that old building to not too far away. There's a building called Buchanan B. And then I just made my way around. And the next shot you're going to see is, it's the old sort of, I don't know if they call it a quad, maybe. I'm not sure what they call it, but it's sort of the place where all the restaurants are at UBC, and it used to be where the radio station is. I think they built a new building for the radio station and all that stuff, so I don't know if the building's still there, but I don't know what it's being used for now. I haven't been in it now. And it seems like security's really beefed up at UBC right now because of the situation. So because I'm not a student at UBC, I don't even know if I can go into the buildings anymore at this time. Here's another pathway. There's a nice native carving pole, totem pole with carvings on it. And there's people walking around. You can see there's a couple people walking around there. So here's another walkway. So I'm just making my way around. Some more people walking. It's kind of old buildings mixed with new buildings. Okay, so here's the last shot. And this is the quad I was telling you about. I think it's called the quad. I'm not sure. But it's where all the restaurants are and stuff. And there's some bike lockers right there on the left. You can see it rained a little bit in the morning. The ground is still a little bit wet. There's a statue. Straight ahead, there's a statue. I didn't really get a good look at it. That would have been good to have my 200 lens or 135 for that. I could zoom in on it a little bit. Okay, there, I took the ND filter off. So this is I think you're looking at the, I think it's called the Quad building. I could be wrong, but I think it's where all the restaurants and stuff are. So it's kind of the central part of UBC, I guess. So you can see how old those planters are. Those are pretty old. Concrete planters. So this is a really nice area. Kind of has a whole different look when there's students and teachers and everything running about. It has quite a different look to it. So yeah, I took my ND filter off because it was kind of cloudy again. And then I stopped down as well. So that's the last shot. I hope you enjoyed my scenes of UBC. Check out my other videos for videos shot of different parts of Vancouver. Thanks for watching, and check out all my videos and subscribe to see new stuff. Thanks for watching.